The first time I saw this game, I thought it was rigged, but maybe there's more to it. The promotional material does have the balls to say it's 100% skill-based, so let's take a look. Power Roll was made by and I believe it was released early into 2019. The game itself is simple. Just pull this lever back to launch a ball into different score zones, with the jackpot zone being more narrow than the other ones. The arcade can change the payout amounts, but I believe the jackpot zone should always be in the same spot, being the 8th one from the front. The jackpot value can be set to a base amount, with an option to accumulate based on plays. To win this game, you need to figure out the right angle to send your ball at. The people at this arcade were nice enough to vandalize the sticker on this machine, with different angles to release at. So which one's the right angle? Honestly, I think all of them can win. It's not just the angle, but also the power on your release. You can have a softer hard release, or something in between, but you'll need to find the right angle to complement the amount of power used. One thing to look out for is this little green circle. This is a rounded spirit level, and it shows if we're playing on a flat surface. If the game isn't on a flat surface, I'd imagine it would be a lot harder to win. How do I feel about Power Roll? I'm usually more of a fan of the arcade games that play like traditional video games, but this is one of the exceptions that I really like. I'm not entirely consistent with this game, but the potential is easy to see. My hands might be too shaky to be perfect at this game, but that isn't the game's fault. If I was more like Hidetoshi Hasegawa, I could win this one every time.
In Japan, heart surgeon, number 1, steady head.
In my experience, I can usually win at roughly this angle with a hard release. But what works for you can differ. It all depends on the angle and release strength. Other arcade people have told me before to try and line up the lever with these bolts on the side, but I feel like eyeballing the angle or using your hand to line it up makes a lot more sense to me. I will always appreciate a game that is pure skill and you don't need to work around weird payout frequencies or anything else like that. Since the game takes a few seconds to play, it can be an incredibly efficient choice for making tickets. It seems to let you play again if you won the jackpot, but if someone else wins the Power Roll, you'll have to wait for the counter to finish. The only other thing that bothers me with this game is how it patronizes you when you lose.
So close!
Alright, so where does this go on the tier list? This could be a hot take, but I think it deserves S tier. You might think the difficulty alone should keep it out of there, but I disagree. It has a high skill ceiling on first impression, but it absolutely can be learned and you can jackpot this game multiple times in a row. The skill ceiling is also a good thing. It's going to protect this game from getting nerfed by the arcade. This advice goes for any arcade game, but just try to be a sustainable farmer. Don't milk the games dry until they get nerfed. Power Roll is just you versus physics. You aren't playing around any payout frequencies or other weird cheating gimmicks. If you remember my video on Spinner Frenzy, you might still be upset because the premise of both of these games are pretty similar, yeah? They're both physics games where you get one shot to do something really precise. So why is that one in C while this one goes to S? It feels obvious to me, but I'm pretty sure it's easier to visualize a lineup for launching a ball into a zone than it is to get a fidget spinner to reach exactly 500 RPM. At the end of the day, this is all just my opinion. Your arcade experience is going to be different from mine, but I still think this is a great game to learn.